What's up, my know-it-alls? Okay, so me and Gonzo decided it was time for us to get together and have a conversation about the Wheel of Time. So how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good, good. This episode was amazing for me. You have to understand what I do. I told you, I said we got to talk about it. I said this is the best exposition dump you'll ever watch.
Yes, it is. And isn't that what I said too? I said best
Yeah, dude.
exposition ever.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I
It's
was like,
like,
it wasn't
yeah.
boring. It was just. So what did they do from season one to now? It's like, did they just? You know
They took
what?
it seriously.
They took it seriously, is what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Another thing was, but the showrunner's the same showrunner.
No, as far as I know, I believe it is.
It
I
is.
believe it's the
He
same people.
is,
Yeah.
and he read
Yeah.
the Wheel of Time.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know that Brandon Sanderson was a who was credited as an advisor on the first and I think even the second season. But
Mhm.
and according to you remember that we saw that we watched that podcast that he was on
Yes.
where he said that
Yes, I saw that.
he was like, yeah, they sent me scripts, but after a while they didn't really send him anymore. So he was like, all right.
Yes.
And he was very remember because he had to get all used to the idea. He's like, all right, well, this isn't exactly, but you know what? Hey, the wheel turns, and so he was
The
trying
wheel
to,
weave.
yeah, totally. But yeah, no. So okay, so first impressions. What are some of your first impressions about the episode?
Oh my god, I am so pleased. Um, I got it confused with another time or another part of the
Mhm.
story that I had to ask you about that. But
Oh,
but
right. Yeah.
now that you explained that it was a different time, I was thinking about it. It was even better,
Mhm.
and oh my gosh, the whole thing was storytelling. And it was
Storytelling.
great storytelling.
It was unreal.
And
Yeah.
and they told the
Yeah.
exposition without a narrator. It was just the episode was the exposition. And I
Yeah.
was
They
like,
showed
"Oh,
you.
I
They showed
love
you
this.
everything.
This means I can go into the lore if I didn't know anything about it." You can do, even if it wasn't exactly accurate, it made you want to be like, "Okay, now I'm going to see what this says in the book."
Well, the
And
really
that's what
interesting thing. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no. Oh, also, and that's what I was saying about last episode and this episode. I was I was like, see, this is what this is supposed to be in all the TV shows that we've seen. The last two
Agreed.
episodes,
Yeah.
you know?
When it's funny, I told Mrs. Note all this, and she's actually getting caught up because if you and I already told the audience before she had not been feeling well. She was under the weather. Now she's getting recovered, and so she's finally catching up. And we were going to try to do our normal 2-person discussion on the set behind me this weekend. But one of the things that she said right out the gate was she goes, is this all of this stuff that you're excited about in the books? And my actual answer is no, but not the way everybody's going to think.
Right.
Most everything we saw did exist or did come from the book.
Hmm.
Anything that isn't from the book actually came from some of the extra material that was written based on Robert Jordan's work, which was
Yeah.
there was a compendium, there was the world of the Wheel of Time. These are based on his notes. So a lot of even though some of the discussions, some of the little nuances weren't in the book verbatim, they are from his stuff that he's written. So anybody who really dives deep, because I'm you and I like that. I mean, I play Dungeons and Dragons. So when I
Exactly.
found out these other books were coming out, I was like, oh, I want to read them, and they're all there. So like,
Yeah,
I
he's
was
got
like,
so much
man, this is
content
incredible.
that that's all you had to do. So they stayed within the spirit of the book,
Hmm.
which Lord of the Rings did, by the way,
Right.
was stay within the spirit of the book. Not Rings
Hmm.
of Power, Lord of the
No, Lord
Rings.
of the Rings. Right. Right.
You know?
Well,
And
because there's
so
lots of people who know that. You're right.
and watching, I saw an interview with the showrunner, and he referenced and mentioned Robert Jordan a lot, which gave me even more faith that
Yeah.
he is, respecting the author of a great
Sure.
story.
Well, it's like remember we saw that article about Ron Moore, who's supposed to be doing the adaptation of the God of War, and he's like, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know the games, I don't know how to do the controller, and you're like, how do you do that stuff if you don't know the
exactly.
story? I mean, and everyone's like, oh, well, I'm sure he could read it or watch it or whatever. Yeah, but come on, you got to experience the story.
Yes.
We experienced it. You got to experience it. So whatever.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So you're right. I agree with you. He's really good. But all right. So the episode, they by the way, we're going to be spoiling some things and just kind of talking around it. This is I won't again. There's no scores being given or ratings. That's going to come later. I have another review that's dropping later this evening, which will be my normal one that you guys are used to, where I give my ratings and whatnot. I mean, you're more than happy to, by all means, tell me what you think yourself. But just so everybody's aware. Otherwise, let's get in the comments and have some conversations about it. That being said, they arrive at well, it's actually the night before. They arrive at Rudy Inn
Mhm.
with the Wise One, with Ruark and all the other Aiel, and we live here in this space, which I loved. I thought it was so cool. I really did.
Oh
And then
yes,
getting to see
I
the
thought it was awesome.
do you see the big hair lady with which is the bad
Yes,
guy, Aiel? But you know they're not the bad guy. Aiel. They're the ones that are like of questionable honor.
yes, yes, exactly. Those are the ones with the questionable honor. Those are the iffy
Yeah,
ones. If per
they,
se.
they are too. And so, had you experienced? Well, I forget. You've read some of the books or all the books, or
No, I got up to book 6.
okay, cool, right on. All right, so
Yeah.
that's good. So you have gotten pretty decent far away
Oh
through
yeah.
it.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna continue too.
Right on.
I'm gonna still read it.
No, for sure. It's like, especially this is kind of making us. We're enjoying it. We just started book 3 in the audiobooks, and
Oh,
so we're
awesome.
actually now caught up. Or she's going to be caught up in the series to where they are now, which is cool.
Right.
And I'm talking about Mrs. Know-it-All because she's been watching it. So I mean, I dug. I think for me, it was seeing the when they look over the top of when they into the valley and they get to see it's called the city in the clouds, but it's just because there's this like mist. Oh,
Yes.
I thought that it looks amazing. The work they and obviously not everything is being built, but a lot of things are.
Yep.
So like I sent you that picture of Rand or the actor who plays Rand Joshua in one of his later outfits from
Oh,
his visions.
yes. So that.
And behind him, you see that physical, like that's
Yeah.
a thing. That's a thing they found that looks
I
amazing.
know.
Like it looks really cool. So
So
architecture wise,
I
really cool
was
things.
during that time when he was in the Ruodon
Mm-hmm.
and going, every step forward, they took, they went backwards in the story in time.
Right, right.
But even backwards in time, did you that one scene, the clean cut Rand, um, the carriages were clean, like
Dude, they
futuristic
look
looking almost.
gorgeous.
They were
Yeah,
very
yeah,
gorgeous. I was like, what is that material? And what is I like how they don't shy away from modern dress. Like
right.
even when he was in the Ruodon, he had combat boots on almost. Like
Yeah.
he had Doc Martens on.
So it's funny. Everyone's been sort of criticizing that. I actually talked a little bit about that in my
No,
review.
I mean,
But
who
I'm saying there's
says
people who are giving
exactly?
well. So the criticism that I've been hearing, and I touch on this again in my review, is that people are like, well, like they're using the hat, for the hat from those scenes when she's in the desert. They're like, why does she look like
Oh
why does she look like she's a divorcee sitting by the pool who's about to open up a romance novel and start reading? And I was like, stop it. And well, because there's one
that's
criticism.
picking to be picking.
It is no for real. Well, there's these two guys I watch. These two British guys. Their channel's called Bergen Beard, and I do love watching them. They sit around, they
Right.
talk, and they have really good conversations. And one of the things that they brought up was he's like one of the guys feels like this show has no production identity of its own. And by that I mean you watch Game of Thrones, you clearly know you're living in roughly a 14th 15th century
Right.
England, very medieval style England. It's a specific
Yep.
style, and then you watch something else, and you get that sense as well. But this, you have like people who are looking like pilgrims to people who are looking like they're from India, old age India and old age Asia and whatnot. I when I read the books, because Robert Jordan was exhaustive if nothing else. I mean, most of the books run about an average of anywhere from 600 to 900 pages. Okay, and he was really good about describing the cultures. And one of the things I constantly bring up is I expected Land's people to look samurai-ish. I don't know that I thought fully they were going to look Asian, but based
Yeah,
on the
I
way they
didn't
described
either.
the helmets and the costumes and the way that they the honor and everything else, I was kind of going, oh, they're going to have an Asian quality. So I felt
You know
that.
who I had a picture of whenever I was reading the books was what's that guy's name? Mads, that one.
Mads Mikkelsen?
Yes,
Really?
I pictured
Because they
him.
describe his so they
Yes,
describe
they
him in the
describe
books
his
as being all
face.
straight planes and
Yes,
like
yes,
hard
and
lines,
yes.
and and we get this very angular soft face.
Hmm.
I'm
And
not
so
again. I'm not judging the casting. I
no,
love
no, no. The casting's great, but
yeah,
I'm
everything's
just
good.
saying that's who I pictured when I read the books.
Sure,
And so then
sure,
when I saw this, I was like, okay, no, I accepted it right away,
yeah.
and because I was like, okay, he's still sharp lined, he's a little smaller than I expected than when I was reading in the books, but his eyes
What?
were still very sharp, like in the
Yeah,
books,
yeah. No, that's
and
true.
so he was still very easy to accept as
Sure.
Land.
What did you
Um,
think of the? What did you think of the duel between Lan and Avienda?
that was could have been better.
It could have been better, but
That was
I
a
got it.
very sloppy choreograph. I mean, because Land, no, it was sloppy,
Well, they're
bro.
not trying to kill each other.
No, so you can try to hurt each other at least.
No, he's like,
You
at
know,
least cut her. I don't know, something, whatever.
I don't know. I think it was the choreography
Sure.
that really messed it. The choreography and how the camera was moving made it sluggish looking instead of
So
light, crisp,
I thought they
and
were going for
agile.
like right. I hear you. I thought they were going for like a slow mo type feel, like almost like when they're moving. Not Zack Snyder, but like I didn't feel like they. I never at any point
Like
felt like they were going full
the
speed.
one shot scenes or something like from Daredevil or something?
No, not so
Because
much
it
as
didn't
I don't.
feel like
No, no, of course
that.
not. No, I never thought that they were. I never thought that they were supposed to be going full speed, and I never thought that it was happening like that. I did what I liked more than because I think you're right. I think the choreography ultimately was lacking a little bit, but I do feel like because especially here's my issue with the scene, and it's not about the choreography. That is actually a slightly bigger deal in the book. And again,
Yes,
I'm not gonna be one of those guys
yes,
who's like,
that's
oh, just this
true
and that.
too.
Okay,
No, I'm with
and so the fact it happened so with the minute she starts to, and I was like, wait, is this? Are they gonna? And then they
you.
start.
Is this
I
a
was like,
thing?
oh, okay. So this okay,
They kind of just shove it in there real quick, and
right?
it's supposed to
And then
mean a lot more than that.
it is at least that's how I always interpreted it when I read it. I
How
was like,
and but
oh, okay.
how would you interpret or convey that in the maybe the
Good question.
previous the episodes previously building up to that moment?
So
That's kind of hard.
the biggest issue you had that I have had so far has been with this is the rush to give information. That's one of the reasons why I was so surprised this episode worked when on the back half.
Right.
So
Hmm.
is that so they get with episode one? It's like for that month that we were on the thing and talk and like so you're going to cheat. Everyone's bonded off camera. Got it.
Right.
So now you're going to talk to each other in a way that doesn't feel like it's natural to
Yeah.
most of us,
Yeah.
but you're telling us you've known each other. Okay, fine. And that's been my issue.
It's like, all right.
That really has been my issue. And then
Okay.
so now you have this moment where this felt rushed, and the other thing that felt rushed to me was the Shido are not just in the book aren't just sitting there in a little hut with like five of them. The
No,
Shido
no,
are
it's a
like
huge
a big
plan.
group, and
Yes.
they're there, and there's almost borders on an actual fight. But to be fair,
Also,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I know
See,
casting being what it is. Casting being what it is, they like because normally Ruark should have had some of the Tear Dad there, and there's usually insults thrown between the Tear Dad and the Shido, and then it would and it almost seems like they want to fight them from keeping them to go into the city. So it was and then I felt like in the book the way they describe it, By the way, the city is beautiful. I'm not trying to really give it crap, but it describes he's only on sand in that like the valley part for a little
Yes.
bit. And then there's this long road slash walkway that takes you across an actual raised up bridge, which is when he can really see the spires and everything broken, and then he
Yes.
enters the city. Now they abridge a lot of that, and that's fine. And the production and for everything else they gave us in the
Right.
episode, I'm not going to nitpick too crazy. So yeah,
My thing also, and I'm talking about, episode 2 and it's in 3. I got too involved in the actual story, which is a good thing.
sure,
But
sure,
2 and 3, the music, it didn't know what it was. It had so many
okay.
different
I've heard
styles
this
of
too. Go ahead.
music, you know? And so I
Well,
wrote it down because
yeah.
I was like, and it almost did what that little short that you did. It
Yeah.
almost did that to me, where it was like, where's this sound
Where's this coming
coming
from?
from? It's like, this doesn't match this,
Right. No,
you
I get
know?
you.
And so they would go to the next scene with this song score that did not feel like what you were looking at or feeling or anything like that. And so to me, the music feels a little like it doesn't know what it wants to be.
Right. So there's a whole thought process that's happening right now in modern entertainment, especially when it comes to genre entertainment, so sci-fi and fantasy and whatnot, where they're trying their. So, for instance, like sci-fi will play in the center of all of this science fiction, they will suddenly play a Beastie Boys song or a Run DMC song, something that doesn't that contrasts really heavy with the environment and what's going on. And then likewise, they're doing this stuff, similar stuff with fantasy, where it'll start out orchestral, and then we're in the forest or the jungle, so we're going to play something that sounds a little bit like
They try
modern
to
day
do a Knight's
stomp
Tale
music or
thing.
something. Right,
They try to
right,
do a
and like
Knight's Tale and it's not
a little
working.
bit, right. So there's definitely I feel like, but it's funny because I've heard the criticisms like, oh, the production's trying to find its voice, the music's trying to find its voice. I feel like what we're interpreting as being not the like being odd choices are actually the choices, meaning that is the choice. That's the style. They want it to bang a little bit and get your attention. I don't
It's
know
just
that
they missing it.
anybody.
I mean, they're wrong. They're just wrong. Even though they did it on purpose, it's wrong.
Tell him. He's like, look,
It's
I
like
get
because it
what you
didn't
want to do, but no.
because I don't know what they were trying to do because what happened was it
Right.
took me it almost and I'm not crapping all over it like
No,
it's
I
this
got you.
this terrible thing, but it did almost take me out of the
That's fair.
ambiance and the feel of what was going on. And like almost
Yeah.
like why is the neighbor playing the music too loud? You know?
Because you're like that. And you're like, wait a minute, that's coming from the TV. What's
It's
going
like, what
on?
is this? And but I think they could use that same, those beats and everything like
Sure.
that, right?
Yeah.
It
So
was just
Bergenbeard called
how it
it.
was done.
Bergenbeard called when they did the IEL stuff. They said that not this episode, but the previous one. They said that it felt like they were. They're like, "What's this weird Lion King? Like, what's this? What is this coming? What is this?" He's like, "It feels out of place." And I didn't notice because I heard them say it. I noticed it this episode briefly when they're
Yes,
first, and I was like, "Oh, there it is. That's what he was
there
talking
it
about."
is.
I was
I don't
like,
know.
"Okay,
Like I said, and I didn't hear anyone say anything about it. I didn't hear a review talking about it
no,
or
right,
anything like that. I didn't even look at any reviews actually. This is just straight me, and
sure.
but I did. I wrote notes about how this season this feels so good. I love
It
the
does."
feel of this is the storytelling that it should have been in season 1.
I agree. I agree. Well, and I tried to explain
And
like
I'm not
Matt
talking about
and
this episode
Aaron.
only. I'm talking
No,
about
this,
this
yeah, the season in
season
general.
so far.
Yeah, Matt, Perrin, and Rand are behaving the way I expected them to behave in season one. I don't mean with the maturity of the experiences they're
Right,
having now, but
exactly.
I mean, if you remember the book really had them with that camaraderie. Like that camaraderie was
Yeah,
the same one we saw recently, like in the scene in the whatever tavern
in the
abandoned
bar, in
hotel
the
they were at.
tavern. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that
is
right
the
there.
kind of thing I expected to see when they
In the
were
first,
at
when
right.
they tried it. They tried that
It just didn't feel right.
before the I was gonna say before the Trulux came.
The Trollocs, yeah, the Trollocs.
Trollocs.
Before they had
Trulux
a
is a
lobster dinner.
restaurant.
You know,
Before they had a lobster dinner.
uh, few people know this, but Gonzo actually is from my hometown. He's still there,
Yeah.
and I so that's where we both reference we get that reference. We're like, oh yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, man. Oh, by the way, sidebar, just because, even though because I just thought of it, and I know I'm like taking care. Forgive me, everyone. I'm taking. I'll be down in April, and I'll
Oh,
bring you
okay.
some stuff to work on the background and stuff you want. So we'll hook you up.
Yes, that'd be
We'll
awesome.
get you going. We'll
Thank
get you
you
going.
so much.
No problem. But
Good to
anyway,
hear.
so all right. Okay, so
Continue.
when they got into when they so the basic premise, by the way, for those of you playing at home who haven't watched my review or just kind of, and again, we're spoiling. We're not going heavy, deep spoilers, but we're definitely spoiling things. We're talking about the episode. There's that part where they're told. I say they. Maureen ends up going with him because of reasons and things. I'll leave that up to you seeing the episode. And they're told very clearly she's going to have to explore what she has ahead of her while he has to because this is what a wise one and a clan chief do when they go in. The wise one explores what's coming to be prepared for it, and the clan chief has to understand the way they've worded is why we follow the way of the spear, why we don't use swords. You'll find out why we do not use the weapons of the wetlanders.
Yes,
And I
exactly.
was like, okay, interesting. And sure, and
And
so
it
they
was
when they
interesting.
oh yeah,
That
dude.
was the whole thing about this episode.
Right? Blew me
That's the whole
away,
thing about this
man.
episode.
Yeah,
Um,
it was intense.
and I like if you're not paying attention, you know, for a split second, I had to make sure that they were going back in time, right? When every
Right.
step forward that he would go, because it almost there was some points where it looked kind of futuristic, with the ball floating in the air and everything like
So
that.
that's
And
so
so I
it
said,
was.
is this a different realm of the Wheel of Time,
Uh
or are they
they
going
have
just
they
back in time?
Okay, so they're going back in time because believe it or not, the Age of Legends was when. Oh, so how do I explain this? So Robert Jordan was essentially right when he wrote the series was writing a type of alternate history for Earth. And
Yeah,
if you were to look at it, we're living through either the sixth or seventh age now. And so the story of the Wheel of Time takes place in the third age.
got
The
it.
before that is the Age of Legends, which eventually gave way to the first age. And so the first, and I began. If I'm wrong, I know the comments are going to
Yeah,
totally roast me and let me know.
exactly.
That's fine. And so when what you're seeing is that at some point humanity reached the pinnacle of its advancement. It learned how to manipulate energies. It learned how to tap into the power. And women had one half and men had the other half. And so they had reached a pinnacle like what
Yes,
you saw. And then
yes,
and it's funny because again, a lot of this is more so they had to for this scenes because there's a grouping of scenes that happen that are all some of them are things that we find out in the books in the future. So book 6, 7, 8, 9,
right.
like pieces of
Yes,
information. But because Rand is supposed to have that, it's funny. This became the fastest way to lore dump all of us. And I'm like, watch this show because now
yes. This
you know why
this was
everything's
the
happening.
this was I'm not gonna say the fastest way because it took the whole episode
It did.
to lore
It really
dump.
did.
It
Yeah.
was the smoothest way
Very.
to lore dump.
I'm shocked.
Yes,
I was
it
shocked
was
at how
the
smooth it was.
smoothest way. So so again, I was very pleased with this episode and
Girl,
last
same.
episode. I mean, this season, I am like, this is what I wanted it to be from the
This is what I
start.
signed up for. This is what I
Okay,
signed up
and
for.
I'll tell you this truthfully and honestly: seasons 1 and 2 were not bad.
They weren't bad. They weren't
They
bad.
were forgettable. I
Season
wasn't
one,
like,
I
oh, let's
believe,
watch
I felt like
this
was
again.
very, yeah.
Let's watch this again. No, you know what? This season is like, I want to watch this again because I feel like I missed
Yeah.
out on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I will definitely
Like in Lord
rewatch
of the Rings. I
season.
can watch the Lord of the Rings at least 2 times a
I
year.
know.
And
No, exactly.
you know, and so um but like this one, I could go back and watch some more of one,
Oh,
two,
sure.
three, and four.
Yeah.
Unlike
No, it's
seasons
incredible.
1 and 2, where it was kind of forgettable, but it was
Yeah, so
still okay.
season one for me was right. It was okay. They were setting some things up. My problem with season one is I had to get used to a lot of the things they had to do. And then I saw an interview between season one and two where they explained that one of the things the showrunner had to do is there's so many storylines that begin here but then don't come to fruition in six. And he goes, we don't know if we're going to get any of that or if they're going to have time for that. So a lot of that stuff they just cut. Then there were other things like the fact that the Aes Sedai aren't ageless in their appearance because it was too expensive VFX wise. They said so they just don't even mention it. But they show like the one Aes Sedai has a kid who's an old man who's on his deathbed. So they do show that
Right.
they age slower for whatever reason. And so I feel like those little nuances. And the second season it just got better through the roof. And then all of a sudden this one, forget about it. I'm just blown away.
Dude, I'm
Blown away.
just very happy with the storytelling, very happy with the exposition. I was
Yeah,
very happy with the acting.
for sure.
Um, when they became Aiel, was that Matt with him there? That wasn't
No, it
the
was just
actor Matt.
no,
He
it
kind of,
wasn't. It wasn't.
they all
He
look the
did have
same.
he did favor him a little bit. But yeah, no, but each of the points they went through I thought was interesting. The one thing
Right.
I can't figure out, and I'm trying to understand, because apparently all the Aiel chiefs go through this, two-part question. First, are they, and I'm not actually expecting you to have the answer, I'm just sort of speculating, because anybody who does have the answer, please comment below. Are the Chiefs seeing the exact same thing Rand saw, or is Rand specifically going through his history that goes back? Or do all the clan chiefs? I would lean toward that answer that it's because it's his history, because he went first into the body of his father on Dragonmount,
She
and then
says it goes
progressively
by
went
their
back.
blood.
Okay,
It
that
goes
they did say
by his
that.
blood. So he needed to
Got
see
it.
the history of where he came from.
Right. So, for instance, Ruark, the clan chief from Terdad, he would have seen
That's his
his
bloodline.
predecessor and
Yeah.
then his next and his. Okay.
Yes. Yes. You
All
know
right.
what I
That's
was a little
incredible.
disappointed
Huh.
about Rand's mother, that she was dead pregnant? I
What
think
about
that
it?
was Rand's mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they didn't show the birth. Like
So they,
she was really tough in the books. And she
well,
was
they showed
fighting
it
and
in,
everything
they
like
showed
that.
it kind of in season one ish.
Did they see?
Uh,
Forgettable. That just proves my
Forgettable.
point.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, they did show it. It didn't have as much weight as it would have now. I think
Yeah.
honestly, I think if you had to restructure things, I would have given us allusions or aspersions to that scene, but then waited until this moment to have really
To actually give
done it.
birth during battle on top of that.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
would
there
have
was
been cool.
something significant about that.
She did. No, and they did that in the
No,
show.
no,
It just
but
again,
the fact that he was born during battle was something
it's
significant about it, but
significant
I'm not
to
entirely sure.
it's significant. You'll find out later. It's significant to the spear maidens,
Okay,
specifically the
good.
spear
All right.
maidens, because you got to
Gotcha.
remember. So in their culture, and I'm going to spoil some stuff from the books, but have to do with the
Spoiler alert.
characters of the Aiel. Yeah, of the characters of the Aiel in general, and that's the spear maidens have there's like sayings or like they do not have children. When one of them is born, a child is born, it's given to the clan a while over there, and they don't know who that kid is, and the kid never knows who they are.
All right.
And so literally it's like 6 degrees of separation, nobody knows to get back to them. So he's going to be the son who returned. So all the
Right.
spear
Seeing,
maidens, at least in the
seeing.
book, this
Yep.
happens. The spear maidens
Yes,
in the book are like,
that's what I'm thinking
one of
about. Yeah.
our son has come back. And that's
Yes.
why they're all like, this is our kid.
Yes.
The Karakarn is ours. We will serve it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's like, right on, man.
Exactly.
What
So,
did you go ahead? What else?
and so I also, didn't you see how the wise woman used her
Yes. Yes.
what do
I
they
brought
call
that
it?
up in
The
my
string.
review. She real
Um,
quick was like, boom. And you're like, oh,
and you can see the strings. So
yeah,
basically,
man.
I'm gonna lead off into this because I think that's what it says in the book too. I mean, that was their version of the Aiel, and their chieftains are their wardens.
Wow. I have never looked at it like that, but I think you're right.
Because they have a whole conversation about it.
Yeah.
Maureen and the wise woman, I think, have a whole conversation because it's like the same. She realized it was like, wait a minute, this is what we do. I mean,
It's a very,
he's
right.
the
It's just
warden,
similar kind of,
and
right.
yeah, and you're the Aes Sedai. And when did you learn how to use this magic? And how
That's
did you?
right. When she really gets
They have
suspicious about
a
it.
whole conversation about it, I believe. And
Well,
so,
because the
yeah.
tower is
And
like
did
the
you see
only
her
place
face,
where they
Maureen's
can get.
face, when she used it? When she used the
Oh,
power?
her and
She
Egwene
was like,
exchange looks like
"Oh."
what?
I was
What
like,
just
"What is
happened?
this?" Yes, exactly.
Yeah. The one thing I do wish they would do more of, or have done, I wish they would have done a better job of, is they always the stories always describe the women or the men embracing the true source, the one source rather, the one power. So I would have thought they would have like showed them glowing or something. But I guess from a production standpoint, I don't know how you do that effect because it's different to draw or paint it than it is to see it in real life. I
Yeah.
feel like in real life it's harder to translate someone's glow about them. That's like if they ever did a real
It'll be
good
hard because then
quality
you just
live
look like
action
Bruce
Dragon
Leroy
Ball,
from the
how
last.
would you do
I was gonna
Bruce
say,
Leroy? Bruce Leroy. I know what
so
you're
I'm the
talking about.
master.
But like that would like how would you do that? Like if they were gonna do a live action Dragon Ball, how would you ever show them powering up? It would just look weird.
Yeah.
Like they're suddenly bioluminescent. I don't know. So yeah, I guess having the weaves show up the way they do as like glowing
You
strings
can
and whatnot or
also
ropes.
probably, you can probably also, because that's like of a telling. Like if you're about to use the power,
Try it.
how are you supposed to surprise somebody if you're already auraing and drawing in the power,
Sure.
as
Well, and that
opposed
was
to,
kind of the deal in the books is how
yeah,
did you know?
yeah.
So that's my other
So
thing is
when they use the power now without the aura, I mean, it's a surprise attack. So
right. So my next thought is do they have but can because in I said this to Mrs. Note, I was like, can they see when Rand uses his power? Because they show and she this is Mrs. Know-it-All's interpretation. She goes, I don't think so. I think that's for us in the audience to see, to be able to know that it's happening. But
that's a good
like
question.
because in the real thing, nobody can see men and women channeling. Like they just see the result of things happening. They'll see them doing
Hmm.
something with their hands, and then the wind will rush, and then and a tree explodes. But it's not the same thing. Like
In the
if you
book,
can't channel, you can't. Yeah, if you can't channel, you can't see it. And same thing, men and women. The difference is men.
oh, if you can't
They're
channel, you can't see it. Understood. Okay,
right, and men and
I
women,
understand what you're
like
saying.
they can sense through like weird. Like I can't remember which one it was. I think either the men or the women they get like the hair stands up on the back of their neck when the other person's channeling. I can't remember who it was. I think it's either way. Anyway, so Moraine goes in and she goes through her own little experience. One of the coolest ways I've ever seen something because it's layered for me.
Yeah.
She goes to another set of a gate, which I believe, I think the book confirmed this. These gates are similar to the rings to the gate at the White Tower. Only it serves a
Yes.
slightly different purpose, but does a little bit of the
Yep.
same thing. Her and
Again.
Avienda are floating in it, and
Yes.
they're spinning.
Yep.
And while they're spinning, she's seeing all the various future possibilities. And
Yes.
the way they did it was the camera
Yes.
spins
And I loved it.
over a
I
new
loved it.
shot. It looks so dope because for me, one, it was a very unique way to do it.
It was a good
Two,
POV.
it mirrors that she's in this thing spinning around.
Yeah, it was a
But then
great point of view.
three, it's literally called the Wheel of Time. So it
Yes.
feels like you're spinning through the
You really
future.
can't
And I was
argue
like,
with it.
oh, I warned Mrs. Know-it-all when she gets to it because she gets motion sick. I was like, you're gonna have to really be. I want you to catch it, but fight it for a second if you can, because it's one of the coolest things when you see her, and the fact there's all the. It's Moraine with Land, Moraine
Yes.
with Lanfear, Moraine with Rand,
Yes.
Moraine
Yep.
fighting all of them, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh,
Moraine killing all of them. Moraine dying
everybody,
by
yeah,
all of
she turns
them.
dirty, and then bro, what did you think of the rock group when they're all in that when they're in their black evil
Oh
outfits.
yes, yes.
That looks,
I was like,
I'm
whoa,
like,
what is this? Are they all dark friends?
name that band. Okay, it's like,
Yeah, right.
what the hell, man? I love it. Oh my god, yeah, that's right. Randall Thor and the Dark Friends. That's the
And
name of
the
that
dark
band.
friends.
Totally. No, I enjoyed it though. Yeah, man, it got me. I didn't think it was possible. It got me more hyped for what's coming,
Yes.
and I think it's.
Again, which is
I
what
feel like
it's
they were
supposed to
smart.
be doing.
This was the
This
smartest
is
way to do
this is
this.
what we were excited about.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. You know, to see them. The other thing they did really that this episode pulled off is because again, you get to see. So as Rand's going back in time, you're seeing literally huge piece. You find out why the Aiel are the way they are. You find
Yep.
out the Aiel's connection to another group in the story.
Yes.
You find out specifically who Rand's bloodline, how important it is in terms of being the Dragon Reborn and everything else. Like you get to see all these pieces that and like
Yep.
all the way to the point where you're at the Aes Sedai who are
Mhm.
sending them off, and they got those really moderny looking
Yes.
wagons.
Yes,
Which
that's
the
the
minute
one.
they all took off, were like fast. Weren't
Yes.
they? I'm shocked they weren't motorized. They were so fast.
Yes, exactly. I was like, this was a really cool, like, futuristic thing, you know?
Very,
Yeah, I'm not gonna
very,
mention what I
very
said,
cool.
what I texted you earlier.
No, I mean,
You're waiting for it too.
I kind of too.
Maybe
I'm
I'll
like,
say
that's
it,
very
man.
cool.
I'll say it. I'll
Um,
say it. Or you don't have to. No, 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 I don't know. If I'm gonna say it.
The what about when he finally goes when they go back far enough and you get to see Meridian or Lanfear back before she became a Forsaken, and it's funny. Somebody online goes, "How horrible is it that Lanfear's only known for being the crazy ex-girlfriend when
I
she was
know.
like she
Dude, she
was the
looks so
scientist
pretty,
who
man.
pierced the veil of
I
reality and
know.
just happened to
Because she
catch
was the
you
one.
know."
Yeah, she's the one who let loose the dark one.
She didn't realize. So and you find this out in Robert Jordan's stuff in the
But it
like the
shows
extra
it.
stuff I'm talking about. No, I know. But I'm saying like that's one of the most important facts that is not black and white in the book and writing.
Yeah.
They intimate a lot of it, and there are tons of implications to stuff. I think that's my I think it's my phone barking at me. Give me 2 seconds.
All right. Oh yeah, your dog, your phone's barking at you.
Sorry about that. My mistake. Sorry.
So,
That's my alarm to walk my dog.
so another. I have another
So you get
question. Is
well. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. No, 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 no. You were in the middle of a thought.
I've never envisioned that. So for some reason, when I always, even though I did know they were advanced, because later on, again, spoilers for the books, spoiler. If you don't want to hear this, go away. There's a moment in the book where Rand begins to look up things in history books, and he sees carriages or horseless carriages, and he sees people used to fly and all kinds of things. He sees all these things which are while they sound like stuff from our world are actually just futuristic versions of some of this stuff.
Right.
And so I knew there was some technology ish, but when they describe like Luce Theron and the 100 Men putting the seal over the boar, over the Dark One's prison, I imagined it being a like fantasy-esque, maybe it was a big like temple or something. I never imagined it to be this sci-fi, the movie Oblivion style thing that
Yes.
because essentially what they discover is what you find out in Robert Jordan's works was that in the old days they had mastered what they were doing. That they mastered the true one source, all this stuff, and their scientists were looking. Their Aes Sedai, who were kind of basically scientists at the time, were looking for another source of power. They wanted something more. They wanted to
Yes.
find out more about the universe, and they discover something through this really thin place in the universe, thinking it's what powers everything and this and that,
Yeah.
not realizing that they were breaking into the Dark One's prison. And the way they show that moment in this episode, I'm just floored. I am floored.
Oh,
Unreal.
and the um the ball,
The Sakaraman.
the
Oh wait,
Sakarman.
you talking about the big giant one, or you talking about the
No,
little one?
no, the little one.
The little one. That's the Sakaraman. It's a
Okay.
sawing grail.
The one that
That's
goes alongside with the sword, right? Because he says
oh
it
yeah.
there. It says it in the. I'm not spoiling.
Yes.
I'm spoiling it, but I'm not
No,
spoiling
you're spoiling
anything
from the
for future.
episode, not right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah, that's the one. Okay. What are they?
that's
Oh, what is it that they call those things again? It's the little object,
Sangreal.
the sangreal.
This is a well.
Sangreal.
There's
Every time I hear
Angreal,
that, I
Turing.
hear Michael Kramer's voice.
Angreal are like a shovel, meaning a saw angreal is like a gun. I'm sorry, a tur angreal is like a gun, and a saw angreal is like a cannon. Like they're just their
Yes,
level of power that they. I'm sorry, correction. A saw angreal is like a
it's a
nuclear power
channeling.
plant.
It's kind of like a channeling object that helps
Right,
with
but they're
the one power.
bigger. Ooh.
Yes.
So this, but this one, the one that the ball, and again, spoilers for all of you. If you don't want to know, get out. The ball is actually the key to use a bigger one. So you haven't gotten to
Yes.
haven't gotten to these books, this part of the books yet,
I
where
got
they
to the.
later on explain. Later on, they explain like there's a thing that they do, and I'm not going to spoil. I refuse to spoil
Okay.
this because it's such a major part of the
'Cause I
story.
haven't even been there.
But at one point, because remember the two I said we have to hide this before men realize this is the only thing that can help a woman and a man cooperate,
Hmm.
because this allows them both to use something together. It's the
Yes.
only time that they can merge and use their powers together.
Yes.
Later on, Nynaeve and Rand do this to a devastating effect in the books, and I'm not even
Yes.
going to get into it because
No. No.
it's so important to the story that
And it's so
I've
huge.
even I'm like, don't spoil it. So I'm like,
Exactly.
it's good though. It's
And
good.
then that big ball, that was cool also,
Yeah, that was like
where
a
he was looking out.
spaceship.
It was a spaceship. I wish
It was a
I
little
wish they
spaceship.
kind of they showed how he got from there to the field though.
So I wonder if they probably had like portals of some sort, because you saw when the Forsaken met in the dungeon
Yeah,
a couple episodes back, they were
that would have
literally
been
just like,
cool to
all right, I'm
see.
out. They were all Thanosing. You know how remember how Thanos just put like
Yeah,
a thing up?
exactly.
That's what they were
They were
doing.
Thanos.
They just, which I assume that's how in last of the episode one when Lanfear meets with Maureen. I assume that's how she got from the street to the top. Is she probably just opened up the universe and walked right through?
Yes, and then walked through the other
Yeah,
side of it, which was kind of
yeah.
cool. I like that.
That was
Again,
very.
this whole season was it makes me want to see more.
Yeah, I want to watch more of this. I'm like, please let this be the new tone moving forward. Let's just keep
Yes,
this
it needs to.
energy
And
from.
remember from the beginning what I said when I saw that. I didn't even finish the whole 11-minute preview
Yeah,
trailer. I didn't even.
because
I
you were
stopped
worried.
in the middle of it. I said, "This better not be like
The
the
best it's
best
got.
part of the whole entire season."
Oh my god! How wrong were
Because
we?
if it
It's,
is, I'm gonna be pissed.
yeah, man. Oh my gosh, yeah, no, it's so good.
Oh
I'm
wow!
thoroughly enjoying it. So all right, so we're they leave, and somebody online reminded me. Rand, one of the various prophecies, and it might even be one of the Aiels, says he will come with the
It will
dawn.
come. Yeah, they say it even before he leaves. They say
Okay,
it.
I was like, oh my god, it's so amazing, and he
So he fulfilled
literally,
prophecy when he came back.
yeah, dude, ah.
Yep.
And I love the fact that even though because up until this point he's been really pissed at Maureen, and he basically picks he basically picks her up and carries her out and
Yeah.
rescues her and brings her back. I thought was great.
Yes. I thought that was.
Big issue. Tell me if you have a what are your thoughts about this? I do talk about this also in my review. The the fact that this whole event is flipped with the Stone of Tyr. So in the books, they do the Tyr first, Tyr and
Yes.
Kalendor, and
Yes.
that's when he meet. By the way, again, spoilers for Shadow Rising. He meets the Aiel who came to the tower
Afterward.
because of
Right.
right,
It was
and then
afterward.
that's when their whole thing, and that's when eventually
And by
because
now,
he
he should have had the sword, shouldn't
right.
he?
So
Yes.
yes. So my question is, does this change for you his motivations? Because in the one on the one part he goes to the Aiel with the sword because he knows there's information he needs. This time he's gotten that information first, and is now I think the reverse would be now he realizes, oh crap, the sword is very important. We better go. Like it's flipped those two
I
moments.
think the if the motivation is equally strong, then there's no problem. Like if you can tell the story where he needs to get that sword
Right.
next, right?
Yeah.
Then there
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem. But if they just blurt out with no exposition, with no or with no explanation, say, "Oh, now we need to get the sword," out of the blue, and it's like, but how do you
Right.
know? And the motivation wasn't there, and so they have to tell it right
Okay.
in order for
I'll
it
go
to
with that.
be equally important or
That's
more
fair.
or you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, Otherwise, yeah, they messed it up. As far as the motivation goes.
I'm excited. The funny thing is, I can't imagine. The only thing they're doing a great job of bridging everything in a way that makes sense. Like I was
Yes,
worried from the very beginning, in the beginning of season
this will not
one, that
confuse the beginning watcher.
well,
In
that's that.
fact,
But I was
again,
worried. How do you put all of this story in? And they're doing a great job right now. I'm here for it, man.
the prologue and the book, I was confused.
It's true. Yeah, with the loose Theron one, the original
And I had
original
to
prologue.
read it like three
Yeah.
times.
And
You
I think
know?
you even asked me at one point. You're like, "Is this why? Who's this character? Why did he change
Yeah, I was
characters?"
like,
And I
who is
had to
this and
explain
what's
it.
going on? And
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Well, so there you go. Now you know. And knowing you have to battle, you're having to be a know-it-all yourself. I hope you guys are watching this show. Don't forget to check out my review, which is going to drop later this evening. And then, of course, tomorrow, hopefully, either tomorrow or the next day, in the next couple days, Mrs. Know-it-all and I will get a chance to do our sit-down talk where we sort of go into it a little bit. I like talking to her about it because she's blind completely. Has aside from now listening to the audiobooks, she is not. She's coming at this brand new. And I really enjoy that. So comment, let us know. Any final thoughts?
I'm looking forward to this whole entire season now, as
Oh man,
opposed to the
no.
last two seasons. Like
Yeah, I am too.
I'm
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 now
like
worried. I'm like,
and I'm like how they're doing the the one shows a week. I think another thing is streaming is trying to find its way in how to distribute all these episodes,
yeah.
and they're just going back to what worked, which was once a
Okay.
week,
Well,
making
it
people
keeps the
wait,
conversation going.
keeps the conversation going.
Right.
It builds conversation in the workplace when other people are watching it,
Yeah.
just like Game of Thrones, how HBO did with Game of Thrones. The whole entire week, people are talking about, oh, this
That's
what's
it.
gonna happen next, and this and that. And you
Yeah.
believe this, and they talking. There's people who
Uh,
talk
uh,
themselves.
we used to call it watershed talk, where you or water
Water
cooler.
bottle, water
You'd be
cooler
sitting
talk. Yeah,
yeah, you'd be sitting by the water cooler to having that conversation. Well, now
yeah.
maybe it's pre-meeting Zoom talk. I don't know, whatever. But for those of you who work from, I don't know. But anyways, all right, guys. Listen, thank you so much for joining us for this. I just had to talk to my good buddy about this. And Gonzo, we'll see you very, very soon.
Yes.
Never forget, everyone loves a know-it-all. Bye, guys.